You're listening to the Grit to Growth podcast. Real talk with real business owners and professionals who built their freedom the hard way and now want more time, money, and impact.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Grit to Growth podcast. I'm your host, Levi with Mailbox Money here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And today I'm joined by Vaney Hariri, co-founder of Think3D Solutions, a company focused on helping leaders and organizations build stronger, more intentional cultures. Vaney, thanks for joining me today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. So why don't you give me and our audience some background on your story that kind of led up to Think3D Solutions, and then we'll get into what you're doing there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Vaney Hariri, co-founder of Think3D. We specialize in leadership development training and organizational and community culture. We're based in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, downtown Sioux Falls, to be specific. I'm originally from Buffalo, New York, moved here in the mid-90s
Wow.
when South Dakota was not too long after South Dakota was named as the best place to live by Money Magazine. And so some of that stuff does work to attract folks. And
That is what brought you to here, huh?
yeah, part of it. Really, my uncle was out here for some military stuff.
Okay.
And at the time, it was the number one place to live. It was safe, it was clean, and Buffalo wasn't that for us. And so, my family wanted to try to take advantage of an opportunity. And so my uncle called back and said, hey, I think we should give this place a shot. And so we came out, and the rest is history, as they say.
Awesome. I better ask then, are you a Bills fan?
True Blue Bills Mafia.
Bills
All the
Mafia.
way.
Have you done there it is right there. Have you done the game day tables and all the whole 9 yards there?
Not going through the table. I'm saving that for the Super Bowl. Once we win
Okay.
the Super Bowl, I'll go through the table. It'll probably be a flaming table. I'll do the whole nine.
All right, promise me you'll send me that video when I
The
think
world will see that video.
Yeah, it's gonna happen one of these times.
Yeah, don't you worry about that. The world is going to see the video. But we get down there for a game or over there for a game every once in a while and go back, see some family and that type of thing. I was there for the opening game, which would be the last opening game in this particular stadium, to watch the Bills have that epic comeback against the Ravens. I was one of the fans that stayed, of course.
Of course,
because I'm a real fan.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's get into, now that we got your kind of background and a little bit of your story there, let's get into what you are doing and what Think3D Solutions is all about.
Yeah. Well, culture is the name of the game, and by way of culture, leadership. So, we help organizations, like I said, enhance their culture. And we always say enhance because you already have one. As one of our most prominent sayings here at Think3D is that a culture will emerge whether intended or not. But if it's not one that you invest in, it'll certainly be one that you pay for.
Yeah.
And so, this stuff takes a lot of energy regardless. You're going to have a culture regardless. The question is it of intention? Is it purposeful? Is it designed to do that? And a lot of times people mean well, but they're not necessarily intentionally moving things in order for that to come to be. And then the other challenge is that within an organization, even if the leadership wants there to be a great culture, that doesn't mean that there's subsequent leadership throughout the organization to make that a real thing.
Okay. That makes sense. So how is it that you guys come in and start, like you said, there's already that implemented. Maybe give me an example of when it really needs to be changed and give me an example of enhanced.
Yeah, well, you're always enhancing it, right? Because the thing about change is change is abrupt, it's jarring, and the change itself can create fractures in your culture. So what we want to be on is a constant progression of making it better. We see an opportunity to get better, and we take that opportunity. Now, certain times in an organization's life cycle, they're going to have bigger opportunities than others. And when it gets outside of people's expertise or when they're not able to focus on it in the ways that they like to, they would engage us. So one of the biggest misconceptions about us is that we work with people that have bad cultures. And I would challenge that because people with bad cultures don't call us. Anybody who calls us is trying to get better, and if you're trying to get better, you're doing pretty good.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I better back up a little bit and tell me about the starting of Think3D Solution. When did you and who's your other co-founder? When did
Tammy
you
and
guys
Dysart.
get? Okay, and what
Yeah.
year did you guys start?
We started in 2016. We wrote a book in 2015. We were both at the same organization, and we had teams respectively. And we were never really complainers, but we would be frustrated by some things that were going on, and so we would always talk through what we would do. And we experienced a bunch of different trainings there. And 2 weeks later, it felt like we didn't go to anything. No one was super motivated to continue it because we didn't see our leadership continuing it. And so we just thought, is there a better way for us to be able to approach this? And so we started working on a book about how to develop a healthy culture. And we wrote that book in the end of 2015. And then that was the same time that millennials were really happening. And that was becoming a big thing, and people were losing their minds. And so we said, you know what, let's probably get started with the consultant piece, because the initial plan was for that to take a couple years to get going. And
Yeah,
we jumped out there, and lo and behold, people needed what we had.
that's awesome. If you don't mind, how many kind of clients and corporations are you working with today?
So depending on what the situation is at different levels of engagement, I mean, we might be working with 25 to 30 clients at a
Wow.
particular time. Some might just be, keynotes and workshops that we're engaging with them in. And then we usually carry a book of annual clients. And that's where we're getting more into the consulting a little bit deeper. We're going into the training. So, for example, one of our largest local clients would be like a First Premier. We do their leadership training.
Yeah.
And then we might have a mom and pop that might only have 10 or 12 organizations or folks in their organization. And we might be doing a training here or there.
Okay, that makes sense. So walk me through, like, say I approach you, I'm yeah, maybe 10 to 12. Or is there a like initial meeting to kind of see what the fit is and everything like that?
Absolutely. So we want to have, a get together to be able to understand what it is you're being faced with. What are some of the challenges that you have, both as a leader of people and both as the leader, period? Because,
Yep.
we say that we don't advocate for anyone, we advocate for everyone, which means that it's not just us taking care of or talking to the frontline staff, right? It's also about us talking with and supporting leadership. So everyone has to be accounted for, and a lot of times there's a disconnect. There usually is a us them dynamic that forms, and so we try to understand where the fault lines are, what the challenges are, and then we can start crafting how we want to approach it.
You say that's probably one of the more common issues that most companies are seeing, or is there what are maybe some of the most common pain points that your clients are approaching you with?
But there's some static ones that are always there. Things like effective communication; those are always present, even in our organization. Like, I don't care what organization you're in, people
Not even
generally are
organic
going to want.
relationships, with people,
Right.
and it's everywhere.
That's just always going to be one of the things that people can always work on to get better. But a lot of times, society plays a part in it. So, right now it is, enhancing people's social skills, for example. How do you, look someone in the eye? How do you challenge someone? How do you take feedback without breaking down? How do you give feedback even when it's somebody you might report to? It's some of those things that are more challenging things. How people work together when they have challenges with anxiety, or even sometimes even leaving the house. A lot of times what we deal with, or what we choose to focus on, is the human. Sometimes we can technically teach someone how to do something, but if they're not emotionally or mentally in the right space to be able to do it, it's not likely they're going to execute it well. So I can teach someone how to have a conversation, and we do, but that doesn't mean that that person magically gets the confidence to have that conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so if we don't help them bolster the confidence, then you can't really expect that this person is going to do this, do it well, or do it consistently.
Makes sense. So, Vonnie, besides what you're doing, and this might still be part of Think 3D Solutions, but I saw you kind of travel around and do speakings at big conferences and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
what what's the biggest one you've been to?
Ooh. Well, some of them are different size. I mean, in terms of size and significance, is a little bit different. So there's some, conferences like Work Human and various other conferences that you might be speaking at where, there might be thousands of people there. And then there's ones where there might be a couple hundred, but the couple hundred are all CEOs of really large organizations. So for us, it's less about size and more about how we're serving the audience.
Okay.
In some instances, we'll go and we'll work with communities. So, for instance, in Fargo, we might work with their leadership in their Main Street initiative, where they're bringing together small communities all throughout the state in order for us to be able to give them something that they individually may not be able to afford. So sometimes we might be working with the state, or we might be working with large institutions like that, like universities and that type of thing. And then sometimes we are working with the clients themselves. So sometimes
Okay.
I'm sleeping in the Ritz, sometimes I'm in the Super 8.
I like it. You could change it up whatever the situation calls for. That's
For
awesome.
sure. Now, don't get me wrong, I want to be in the Ritz every time, but I do like being with people where they're at, especially in our rural communities, because it's important for us to really be doing some of the work we do in the state. This is our community, these are our people. And so we get an additional value by doing work here in the state. So sometimes I'll find myself in a community of 1,000, and then, like I said, sometimes I'm in Miami or New York or California or whatever.
Yeah, that makes sense. So let's talk a little bit about Sioux Falls again. Obviously, now you've been here a while, seen the city grow. What excites you most about where Sioux Falls is heading?
Well, the big thing for me is that we're becoming more dynamic in terms of what we have available and the type of people that we can produce.
Hmm.
It used to be a time, and it still is to a degree, where there's certain things if you wanted to do them or if you wanted to see them or experience them, you had to leave. And sometimes when people leave, they don't come back, and so you lose a lot of talent and that type of thing. And now we have a lot of resources that allow people to pursue their dreams, no matter what kind of dream, here.
Yeah,
So, since I was 19, I've been on at least two boards, committees, or commissions. So for my entire adult life, I've been focusing on, helping to develop this community in a healthy way. And so right now, I'm the outgoing chair for downtown Sioux Falls. I'm on the board for the Levitt Band Shell here in downtown Sioux
yeah,
Falls,
we
is
love that
where
place.
as well as our Arts Commission, and some other things. So for me, I really like to focus on things that impact me. I always say, if it impacts me, I have to impact it. And so I'm really invested in what we're doing in downtown, largely because I care about the state as a whole. A lot of times people don't think about this, but downtown is the economic engine for the city, and the city is the economic engine for the state. And sometimes it might feel frustrating for people because we put so much of a focus on downtown, but there's such a significant return on the investment. So when we grow downtown really well, it allows us to be able to create an environment out in the suburbs that
Yeah.
doesn't make sense because we're doing it here. So for me, a lot of it is based on what we're doing downtown and how we're growing, trying to do it intelligently and thoughtfully, and still making it a place that people who live here still want to come to, and not necessarily like some communities where it feels touristy and so the people who live there avoid it,
Yeah.
but also making it so that way, we could pay for things, especially with other people's money.
Would the other people's money is always nice to be playing with, right?
Absolutely.
I gotta add, so you said since you were 19, you like to sit on two different boards. Was that what you said, correct?
Yeah, at least. I mean, it's not necessarily that I want to be on the board per se, is that I want to impact the
Yeah.
organization and does what it does. And so I'm a person that just, I need to be in the room. I like being there when things are being cooked up, and I like having input on how we're moving things forward. And so I just find myself in those circles.
For maybe some of the younger listeners or those who haven't done it before, would you say it's helped impact making those connections and making that impact? Has that affected you personally as a leader and your growth as a entrepreneur and business professional?
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, it always makes sense for you to invest in your community and participate. A lot of times, instead of developing community members, we develop customers, and customers want what they want when they want it for how much they want to pay for it. And I think it's
Mhm.
dangerous when you have your countrymen or women be customers, right? Because they're not considerate about how a great community becomes a great community. And the way that a community becomes a great community is through communal investment, people participating and getting into it. So I think it's a good thing to do regardless. But it also gives you an opportunity to work with other professionals, usually people of some significance, or they bring some type of real value to the community. So you're going to learn a lot if you're willing to listen. You're going to develop important relationships that are going to benefit you in the future. And you're going to have an opportunity to impact some of the things that you value the most.
Get the win-win. That's what it's all about. So, what's looking ahead? What's kind of on the horizon for maybe you personally, and also Think 3D Solutions? Anything you can share with us there?
Yeah, we're always cooking up something. I mean, one of the biggest challenges for us is not doing things. Um, we, if something needs to be done, we see a responsibility in doing it. One of the biggest things that we're working on right now that we're really excited about is Culture Cove, and the Culture Cove is our retreat space. So we bought a hunting farm because we're crazy
South
people.
Dakota.
Yeah, we bought a hunting farm in Meckling, South Dakota. I believe a town of just over 400, and in between Vermilion and Yankton. And there we have a 10,000 square foot lodge on 10 acres where we can house up to 23 people. We have a state of the art boxing gym there. Um, an amazing patio, beautiful space, and it's built for facilitation, so we can sleep a healthy amount of folks. We can create some really nice environments and hospitality, but then we also have an area for people to relax, to breathe, to grow, and
Okay.
to do the work of becoming a better leader. So we do retreats with our clients, and then we also do mixed retreats that are themed. So I do two different retreats. My business partner Tammy does two different retreats. So
Okay.
sometimes one of our retreats might appeal to a particular type of person. They can pick that one and they can attend the retreat as an individual, even if it's not with their organization.
How many people you get out there in the boxing ring?
We get a bit. So I actually do a retreat called Combat Culture. I actually have one coming up in December, and it's called Combat Culture. And we have people come and we teach them some of the principles of leadership through combat. So the average
Nice.
person who feels attacked is more likely to feel attacked in their job than they would in
Mhm.
an alley.
Yeah.
But the mentality transfers. And so what you learn from training combat, because I box, it's one of my favorite things to do. And in boxing, in developing in boxing over the last near 15 years, what you appreciate is emotional regulation, intensity, poise, focus, how to remain calm in some of those pressure moments. These are really important concepts that don't just live in combat, they transfer to real life.
That makes
And
sense.
we want people to understand that component of it. So we come in, people come to the retreat, we do some classroom work in the lodge, then we take it out to the gym and we see how that transfers. And then we go from the gym and we bring it back to the lodge and we talk about it there. We typically have a chef that does chef prepared meals,
Nice.
breakfast, lunch, and dinner, so people don't have to worry about that. A lot of the equipment and that type of thing is provided. You don't have to know how to box. You don't have to be good at it. You don't have to be particularly athletic. But we're going to show you some things that'll open up your mind and your heart, and that'll help you lead yourself to being a better person.
I love it, man. Well, for those listening, then, if they want to be a part of any of those or just learn more about yourself or Think 3D Solutions, feel free to promote.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to turn you down on that one. For the Culture Cove, we would ask people to go to theculturecove.com, theculturecove.com. And if you go there, you'll see the different programs that we offer, different treats that we have available, or if somebody wanted to rent it for them to maybe do an event or something like that, that's on the
Cool.
table as well. And then for Think3D, people can go to letsthink3d.com. That's where we house everything there, or they can look at most of our socials, which is Think3D Solutions. And there we have a lot of different content, videos, reels that people can tap into to get a little bit more extra guidance.
Nice. Awesome. Well, thank you, Vonnie. This has been it's been really great, and I appreciate you talking and taking the time to share your story and insights with me and the listeners. Thanks, man.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Awesome. And we'll see everyone on the next one.
Know someone with serious grit and a great growth story? Send them our way at grittogrowthpodcast.com/guest.